What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, are Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Robert DeFelice.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. There you go. That's how threes work. We have the mailbag questions that you guys had submitted for September 2018. I actually think I might be missing some because I looked at my list and I usually have some stuff well in advance and I didn't have anything written down. So I don't know if I had saved some of them, and I apologize if that's the case. If you did send something in and it's not part of the block of messages that we had gone through and kind of eliminated some of the questions and stuff, but if you have like none of your questions, for instance, put them in the comments below. Let me know, and I'll try to answer them that time. We do have actually a mailbag coming up pretty quickly, too, on top of this, because the way that WWE has been doing their whole schedule, I usually try to do, obviously, one a month for the mailbag, and we've got the Super Showdown, and we've got Evolution, and now we've got Crown Jewel, and then we've got NXT TakeOver and Survivor Series, all happening in the span of like 5 weeks. And that means no room for like special extra non-prediction type things, except for we've got something coming up, a blank week next week, at least right now. I don't know if they're going to add another fucking thing. A blank week on October 10th, a blank week on October 17th, and then we're already into November. So the October mailbag is probably coming up October 17th. You got a couple of weeks to send in your mailbag questions and get that kind of situated. 3 episodes from now, we're already going to do another mailbag. So if you didn't get a chance to send them in this time around, you don't have to wait super long to get those in. Send them in now, and I will save them and do all that kind of stuff. But let's dive into the ones that I do have here. And let's go through a couple different submissions from a couple different people here. Let's start off with Peter's questions. This is a real quick one. On Hot Tag episode 353, Tony closed by saying he has to go fight aliens from a distant planet. How did that go? It was tough, I have to admit. You know, there was times where I thought I wouldn't be able to make it, but James Woods came through, helped me out, and I'm still here.
Is that what happens when I don't do the mailbag with the hot tags with you? You end up fighting aliens?
Yep. I end up just quoting Simpsons things instead. I saw a Simpsons thing earlier that I thought was really funny. It was in, like, I think it was like a Botchamania fan page or something like that. But that Simpsons part where they're making fun of the fugitive and Milhouse is like the one that's like, you know, like standing on the edge of that tunnel with like the waterfall and all that. And it's they replaced the faces and stuff, and it's Shawn Michaels, and he's saying, "I'm telling you, I'm retired." And then Vince McMahon is like the cop, and he's got the little crown jewel thing, and it goes, "I don't care." It's so good like that. Simpsons is so good. Yeah, so that's the reference to that thing. Let's go to the other Peter question. Will Tony be a guest or hold assistant or higher power in the GM versus? If live draft or show can fans give suggestions? Okay, so Peter's asking about the idea that you guys had pitched about doing something on like Twitch or something like that. I'm sure I'd be involved at some point.
Yeah,
but
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to invest pretty much any time in it. So if these guys get that all like situated and start doing something with that, yeah, I'll pop up somewhere, however they want me to. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll know relatively soon. I mean, the game's coming out soon enough.
Yeah. So, stay tuned, I guess, is the answer. Yeah. What do you hear that makes you feel old? Fucking everything nowadays, it seems.
Yeah, when you live with a family that's got a 7-year-old and she doesn't understand half of the things that were common knowledge to you, that makes you feel old. I got a friend that's like almost obsessed with being like, wow, can you believe that this was 15 years ago already? And, you know, stuff like that makes me feel old. Most recently during Hell in a Cell, they opened it up with, welcome to the 10th annual Hell in a Cell event. And that made me feel old. Because I remember the first Hell in a Cell very vividly.
Well, it's the 20-year anniversary of Hell in a Cell, period, too.
Ew.
I remember a couple years ago, it was like 2 years ago, I think, that they were saying that it was the 20th year for Pokemon. And that was just kind of like, ugh. I was in 6th grade when that fucking happened. And I was like, no, that's not 20 years plus that. And I'm watching Big Brother a couple weeks ago, and somebody says something about 2011. And this dude, this full-grown adult on Big Brother, like this like 26-year-old or whatever, I don't know, fucking whatever his age is. He goes, 2011, the year I graduated high school. I was like,
That was
no!
the year I graduated. I graduated high school that year as well.
I graduated in 2005. And that just put a knife in my heart, because I was like, I thought this dude was like, he might have graduated in like 2008 or something like that. And even though it's only a couple of years difference, it's still just enough for me to be like, my God, you weren't in high school when I graduated high school. Like, that bugs me.
Yeah.
I feel so old nowadays. Especially like right now, yesterday and today, my neck has been hurting since I woke up. So I have like, I don't know what I fucking did there. Oh man. What about you, Callum? What makes you feel old?
I usually fall back on the sporting stars that are like teenagers and stuff like that. So footballers, even wrestlers and things like that, and just think, well, I'm never going to get that opportunity now. Because until you hear about somebody who's younger than you scoring or getting some sort of massive accomplishment, there's always part of you that thinks that you could still do it.
Yeah.
And then that happens, and it's like, oh, my life's over, essentially.
You know, when Tyler Bate popped up, that was one that
God,
really
yeah.
hit me. Because
Yeah.
that was just like this 19-year-old kid, and I'm like, I could almost be his dad. This is horrible.
Yeah, it just makes me feel like, wow, if I ever was crazy enough to just pick up wrestling training, I'll never be as good as he is now. And by the time that I got any good, he'd be a million times better.
Right.
And he'd probably be like on top of at least NXT, maybe WWE or something along those lines. It's like ridiculous.
Leo Rush too, man. I can't believe all the stuff he's doing, and he's only 23.
Yeah, and it took him like 5 years to kill the business with that spot. I'm still going to bring up that side of things because it just infuriates me.
Another
But
thing
he's doing
too
good.
is I've got nieces and a nephew, and my one niece is looking so much like my sister, but she's not looking like my sister from when she was a little kid anymore. She's looking like my sister from a teenager. And the more that I see like a picture of her, or like I see her in person or something like that, and I'm like, you need to be 4. What's up with this like 11 bullshit or something? Like, you know what I mean? That's God, I don't want to think of of aging. I hate typing out that I'm as old as I am too. I'm 31, so it's not like I'm like, 65. I feel like it sometimes, but if I'm ever filling out my age and they say like, what age are you? And I see that I'm no longer in the bracket of like the 25 to 30, and I have to click on the 31 to 40 or whatever like that, I'm just like, this is a bad fucking day. I realized recently, I was watching something, I forget, with Caroline, and they were saying something about like the target audience of 18 to 35, and I just turned around to her and I was like, you realize I'm almost out of that target audience? That's
Yeah.
horrible. I don't want to not be the one that people will like. You know? I don't want to be the old man that they're like, we don't need to
We don't
target
market
you.
to you anymore.
Right, yeah. It's like, but I like stuff. Kind of makes me wonder like what old people think. Some 90-year-old person's just kind of like, I still listen to things. I know what music is nowadays. But music too. I can't. People talk about Cardi B. I was like, who the fuck is Cardi B? And what's this extension guy or something like that?
Extension.
That's like, fuck off. I'm one of those old men that's just like, kids with their music. So yeah, lots of things make me feel old. Let's see, another question here. The first guy who trained me magic asked on Facebook for names for a wrestling-themed restaurant. He said it was a joke to see what people say, and I want to hear your ideas. What names do you have for a wrestling-themed restaurant? Yes, I accept Snack Talk. Couldn't do snack talk for a wrestling-themed restaurant, because I don't want people talking. That's out of, like, mild conversation type stuff, but no cafeteria crap. How good, though, was Squared Circled Pizza?
Yeah.
That was a damn good name, especially to open that up in Chicago like that. I don't know if you can get any better than that.
And it was a really good place, too. While it was open, it had really good food.
Never been to Chicago?
I don't know. I would probably think of something really cheesy, like Powerbomb pizza. Like, I don't have a lot of time to think about it. Then I'm coming up with something really, really lame. So I really don't know.
I gave myself a time limit of 2.5 minutes for this question because I realized that if I didn't give myself a time limit, I would have spent a week figuring this shit out. And I would have literally gone through the whole roster, and I would have gone through the glossary of, like, wrestling terms. I would have gone overboard. And I was like, I know me. I'm going to try to figure out too many puns. I need to give myself a time limit. So all I thought of in that time frame was if Stone Cold Steve Austin wanted to be an asshole, he could open up Stone Cold Creamery just to be a jerk. If Braun Strowman opened up a ham place, I don't know why it would just be, it would be Get These Hams. And if you wanted to go with something very generic, you could go with like Punch and Lunch or something like that. And then I was like, my time limit's up. It's like 7 o'clock on the dot or whatever it was. I can't think anymore, or else I'm going to be doing this all night. But I'd eat at Punch and Lunch. Maybe eat dinner, but, can't think of anything that rhymes with dinner when it comes to that. Any ideas in your mind, Callum? Any wrestling-themed restaurants?
I tried to set myself a limit as well, and I guess I'd probably try out the best of Japanese cuisine at Shinsuke's Nakamura. I think it's quite good because it's like snack and it's got more in it as well, so it's like just. And you could obviously have his signature dish, which is the kinshashimi.
I'd eat it.
Yeah, there you go.
I like it.
So with this, go ahead.
I was going to say, just like, you could have the slogan, it will give you good vibrations as well. I'll stop there.
With this question and with anything else, anybody listening, please drop your suggestions in the comments below. I love to hear these kind of things so much. So if you have any wrestling-themed restaurant ideas, drop them in there. Let me know. I'm sure I'm going to get a laugh out of it.
Well, how about...
Now that you guys said wrestler-themed ones, I thought of Heart Steak Kid.
I'd eat it too.
How about the world?
Well, God, I just can't see it being profitable.
It would be kind of cool, though, if WWE tried to do a restaurant again and they named certain dishes off of people, or like they had like themed kind of like, I keep going with like burger in my mind. And if you had like the Kane burger and it had like fire chili this and like, like different things like that, like I think that'd be kind of neat for a one-time visit sort of thing in Times Square again.
If
then you'd never go
at
back.
A restaurant, would it be seafood themed and it would be down since day one fish?
Maybe it would be you can't see food and it would just be the John Cena thing.
Right
You order it and you just get a blank plate.
I think maybe you could do something with either Brutus the Barber beef steaks or Brutus the Barber cheesecakes. You could go either way.
What if like somebody's doing that and they just really have the wrong idea and they make a beef cake? It's just a cake made out of beef, and it's like nobody's gonna order this crap. Especially if it's got like, instead of like birthday candles, it's got the little shears on top. What the hell? I'd try it for one day. Why not?
I'm sure it'd have plenty of hair in all the food as well.
Ugh.
What about Pasta Mania, guys?
It's running wild. Fuck it, I'd try Pasta Mania if it came back. Why not? At least it gives me something to write up about some time ago. Like, the time I got sick eating Pasta Mania. Coming soon to Bleacher Report. I don't know. Here's a couple questions I'm not going to be able to really answer too much, but the first one I can. It's, since you covered All In, are you considering covering any other non-WWE events, like Ultimate Lucha Quattro? Don't even know what the hell that thing is. No. Not really.
That's Lucha Underground's final season finale.
So is it Ultima Lucha? And then this is just like the fourth one, so that's why
Yeah.
it's Quattro.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like Ultimate Lucha 4 is like the perpetual name or something like that.
No, that's just the fourth one.
Okay, that's good. But no, I still have not seen a single episode of Lucha Underground. And I don't watch Impact. I don't have the time to do any of that kind of stuff, especially now that WWE keeps adding more pay-per-views. So, maybe if they wouldn't have done Crown Jewel, I would have had a chance to, but now it's like, all right, Crown Jewel again. Let's do this all over again and all that. If there is another All In, though, I'll figure out a way. I'll say that. So here's the questions I can't answer. It's up for you guys. Do you like Lucha Underground? Backstage segments are only seen by the fans and people in them. When they come out, everybody else uses context clues to figure out what happened out of the ring. I have no idea what this means.
Yeah, I mean, I wish more things were done like that because, WWE makes it seem like, well, we all know that the camera is right there and we can hear your evil plot, but we have to be oblivious. Whereas Lucha Underground, it's more like a movie. Like, this is just an interaction that's happening between two characters and, nobody else knows.
I think it's fine as long as you're consistent with it. It's like, I think in like the latter days of WCW, they used to just flick it on and off between people can see things that are happening backstage, and other times you have to pretend that nothing's going on backstage and you haven't heard what you've seen, especially with like the commentators. So I don't really mind either way as long as you just stick to it.
Do you think that by body and hair alone, if you took the mask off Cobra Moon, you would realistically see Bailey underneath the mask?
No.
Yeah. No.
That's like they have maybe similar hairstyles, but Cobra Moon is considerably thinner than Bailey. She's considerably less tan than Bailey. Yeah, they don't look anything alike really, so I don't really know how you're getting that from.
Trying to look up a picture of this person now. Nah, I don't see it. I mean, she's got like a ponytail. That's about it from what I can
Everybody with a ponytail is Bailey.
see. What other question we have on here? Who do you think? What do you think of Lucha Underground's? Is it Zolishu?
Exolicious.
Oh God. I don't know who he is, but I already fucking hate it. I really like the transgender gimmick. Oh, it's a transgender person. Or,
It's not a gimmick. First of all, it's not a gimmick.
Wait, all right. So now you got to fill me in here because now I'm so confused.
Have you ever? I know you did a little bit in the Northeast scene. Have you ever heard of Sunny Kiss?
Sounds a little familiar, but I don't think so for sure.
Blonde, kind of. I think they're black.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't. I'm not familiar with them.
That's who they're talking about. I love this person. Think very charismatic, very good in the ring. If you're gonna do these types of characters, do it like this. I have nothing but positive to say about this person. I don't know if you really call her Exolicious because I'm used to their indie name, but yeah, I love the fact that they're getting TV time on Lucha Underground.
The gimmick's a good role model. The guy's very flamboyant, and it's got a lot of charisma. I don't think they're very good in the ring. They're very green still.
So what is it? Zolicious? That was the name?
Exolicious.
Exolicious. Is that kind of their Velveteen Dream?
No, not really. Velveteen Dream's more ambivalent. This is like just full on, essentially. It's not like they're. I mean, obviously you have elements of Velveteen Dream's character, which is like more like sexually ambiguous in its nature, but they don't. This is like very explicit with it.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's not like there's no room for like wiggle room or anything like that. I mean, he's basically it seems that they're entering a relationship with Joey Ryan going forward.
That's perfect. Yeah, no context for me to be able to really judge, but Hey, if it's interesting, then cool. Yeah, no problem with things being interesting. Do you think that All In would have sold out if CM Punk's name wasn't dropped? Yeah.
I think All In would have absolutely sold that if CM Punk's name wasn't dropped. I don't think CM Punk had a damn thing to do with the success of All In. I think that's a very shallow mindset.
I think Punk helped out a little bit because people were like, oh, maybe Punk's going to pop up. But I think in the grand scheme of things, people just wanted to be a part of something that was like
The Elite sold out All In.
Yeah, I think that's about it. It's like if CM Punk did have like a major factor in selling out the arena, then there would have been a lot more overall disappointment with the show and the fact that Punk didn't show up.
Yeah, his name would have been chanted a bunch of times and stuff too.
Yeah, and the fact that it's like was an overwhelmingly positive response to it, that suggests that they didn't actually care that CM Punk wasn't there or not. They would have obviously popped if he was there, but it wasn't a deciding factor for them.
This one's really interesting. Peter asks, between the three of us, we've got the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT three-man announce team. So now we've got Renee Young. Who would be who? Out of those,
like which one of us would be?
Like which one would be Byron? Which one would be Corey? That kind of thing.
Well, we'll start with Raw then. Tony's Michael Cole, obviously. Just it's sort of like the guy who's like part of the furniture, essentially. Kind of like suits it. The lead voice, everything along those lines. The guy that feels like he's been beaten down by too much stuff and just can't really like fight back against it now.
Yeah, that's you, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much.
I'm Corey Graves because I'm a bit more edgy and controversial with my statements. Robert's Renee Young because he's the eye candy.
Oh, thank you.
What about Coach? If we do Coach, then that means you're Coach.
No, I'll take being Renee Young, please.
Yeah, the changes happened since then, so it's fine. SmackDown wise, again, Tom Phillips is probably Tony as well. The lead voice probably makes most sense for Tony on all of them, really. Even Ronaldo to a certain amount, because you can get a little bit like flustered and excited over things.
Oh my God, there's no words. Fuck.
I think I'll take Corey Graves on the SmackDown one as well, which gives Rob Saxton.
Can I be Corey Graves here? I don't want to.
I think I'm pretty sure that I'm Corey Graves. So like we've established that. So we'll just move swiftly on. And I'm Nigel McGuinness, and you're Percy Watson. So. I mean, I've got the accent, so I have to be Nigel McGuinness. So
that's true.
I'm really curious what everybody else has to say about that too. So when you're thinking of your wrestling themed restaurants and dropping your comments below, also tell us what you think the 3-person announced team kind of thing would be like that.
I'll even start calling Rob an idiot more just so he gets a little bit more like attention grabbed onto that.
You tell me, hey, we'll get a Shut Up Robert shirt on the T-Public.
You're gonna change your Twitter account to Dude Saxton.
Yes.
Instead. Do you think R-Truth's character knows that he's in a show about wrestling like Glow and he's acting crazy backstage, but in reality he knows what's going on? So he's basically Deadpool. Like Deadpool knows that he's in a comic book. And that would be really funny if they kind of did that. Like if R-Truth just kind of broke the fourth wall and said something like, I don't know, like, yeah, it was in the script for tonight or something like that. Like kind of like take it to the next level of Vince McMahon saying it's all scripted and you know, we don't want to insult your intelligence. I would be actually kind of cool with that if R-Truth did that. Just some kind of like, oh, he's so crazy. He thinks that he's on a wrestling show, like that kind of thing. I'd be cool with that. What do you guys think?
That's too good for R-Truth.
Wow, that's cruel. R-Truth's been one of the highlights of SmackDown over the past like month or two.
Yeah, Byron, what the
hell? I'd go along the lines of I thought they were going to do something similar to that because they had the thing where R-Truth was just saying he was going to try and get a match with Carmella, and then once he got him a match with The Miz in the main event of SmackDown, he just like turns to Tyson and says, "This is what getting like being crazy gets you, is that gets you the main event on SmackDown." And I thought, oh my God, he actually knows that he's like him being an idiot is getting him somewhere. He's using it, but I think a character that breaks a fourth wall would be an interesting one, just not in the way that like a CM Punk pipe bomb or a a DX breaking the fourth wall type thing where they were just doing it to get themselves over. Essentially, this would be just more of a comedy aspect.
It'd be cool if he referenced other gimmicks and stuff. Like if he went up to Ty Dillinger and he was like, "Oh, what's up, Stan?" You know, like that kind of thing. That'd be interesting. And he was like, "Weren't you what was his name in ECW? Gavin Spears."
Oh yeah.
If you just like said something like that or whatever, like to different people, and the next time that Alexa Bliss is flirting around with Braun Strowman, he just goes like, "Buddy Murphy's gonna be mad," like, you know, like that kind of thing. But not even call him Buddy Murphy, call him whatever his real name is. I think it's like Michael something or whatever. What the fuck is his real name? I don't think about
clue.
that. Let's see, Buddy Murphy. Now I'm curious. His name is Matthew
Murphy
Adams.
Buddy. Yeah,
that would be funny if it was Murphy Buddy. Murphy Brown instead. Let's see what we got here. Do you think that Renee Young's body is always covered because WWE disapproves of her tattoo?
I don't know what her tattoo is.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what her tattoo is.
and also just like it kind of sounds like somebody wants to just see Renee Young.
Yeah.
Less clothing. It's like she's not a wrestler. She doesn't need to wear revealing clothing. She can wear whatever clothing she kind of wants, really. I don't think WWE's been like restrictive of her.
So she's got some little tattoos here and there. It looks like she's got like a moon and a heart and like some other kind of things like that. Nah, I think it's an issue of she's a broadcaster. And in their mind, she should dress like a broadcaster and not like one of the like the wrestlers themselves. They have more like athletic gear and they can show off more skin. If she just shows off a lot of skin, then it's kind of comes off a little bit trashy, maybe depending on the situation and what she's wearing and stuff. You know, if she came out and she was wearing like basically a bra and a thong, essentially, it would be like, why is she a broadcaster wearing that? Like, you know, that kind of a thing. Final question for Peter. Do you think the Mixed Match Challenge hurts Survivor Series since the brands collide? Also, any different teams you'd use? I thought immediately Bryan versus the Bryans and the Miz's should have happened here, and a joke, Nikki and Cena. It would have been funny if they would have paired them up. I guess question number one here. Mixed Match Challenge and Survivor Series. What do you guys think? I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, I don't think one has to do with the other at all.
Yeah, it doesn't, especially with this format they've got at the moment, which essentially all the Raw teams face off against each other, and then all the SmackDown teams face off against each other, and then you have the final between Raw and SmackDown at TLC, which just means that there's going to be 4 people in a basically meaningless match at TLC. But you know,
are you downplaying the importance of the Mixed Match Challenge, sir?
Well, I'm downplaying the importance of that somebody could just get immediately substituted into the first match on the thing just because one of them got injured. And the fact that, well, at least by what reports are suggesting, that Ember Moon will again be traded out of it to bring Alexa Bliss back. So, and also it's just like, it doesn't matter. It's a mixed tag match.
Yeah, it's not even for anything anymore.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, so one of the matches at TLC is just going to be
a tag team match.
Yeah.
And then they're not doing the charity thing or anything?
Nope.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's kind of meaningless.
Miz even said on his promo for next week, because Miz and Asuka are going to be one of the tag team matches, he was like, last year we won for Rescue Dogs Rock, and this year we're going to win again. Just completely ignored the whole charity thing. They've not mentioned a single thing about charity. This is just literally Facebook paid them to do this, and they have to do it again, I guess. That's like, that sucks. Because this sucks. I don't like the Mixed Match Challenge, and I hate having to watch it and do coverage for it.
I don't very much care for the teams this time around either. They just seem even more thrown together than the last time.
Well, some of them are repeats, and some of them are just like, I couldn't care less. Like, I don't care about Bayley and Finn Balor being a team. They're Team B and B. Okay. Can they
well, like, at least they have kind of history with the NXT stuff that they were doing when they would be on house shows together. But, like, why is Lashley teaming with Sasha?
No idea.
Why is Jinder Mahal even in this thing?
Well, the teams that I'm surprised that they didn't do, I'm surprised they didn't do Bryan and Brie. But maybe she just doesn't want to wrestle that much. Okay.
Yeah.
Almas and Vega.
Yeah, Almas and Vega, yeah, is the real stand-up one.
Yeah, like, how do you not do that one? that way, like, they should have won the damn thing, you know?
Yeah, that would have made it at least worthwhile. It would have pushed both of them quite hard. Just a sense of like, especially because doesn't really have much going on the main roster as it stands at the moment, because he's not in the United States title picture. He's kind of just there as like the guy to make other people look good.
And another one, I don't know why they didn't do it. Apollo Crews and Dana Brooke.
Well, Dana Brooke left them.
Oh, she like frustrated and walked off, and they haven't followed through with it since then. But they did tease that whole like the two of them going on their own and Titus Worldwide not existing anymore, and it was like you teased two storylines and didn't follow through with either of them. Surprised that they didn't just do Apollo Crews and Dana Brooke, you know? But I really just, if I had the ability, I just wouldn't do it. I don't like the mixed match challenge. I think it's stupid. I think that the Facebook Watch platform sucks. It's not good for a wrestling show. I don't give a shit about the little people with the emojis. Every episode at some point has frozen on me. So it's not even like the streaming is really all that great. I've had crappy quality every once in a while. And that's when I have no quality issues with other things too. So it's not like, well, it's just your internet connection. It's like, nah, it's pretty sure it's the Facebook thing. Just not a fan. Don't like it. Gonna have to sit through that all the way until fucking TLC.
Is it a round robin this time around?
Mm-hmm. So that sucks too. More and more and more matches. Ugh. Let's see. Let's go to Christopher Marin's question here. This is a good one. How important are championships in determining how great a superstar is?
I think they're important, but if somebody was to argue the opposite, I'd be willing to hear that out. I think they're important because at the end of the day, you can say the belts are just a prop, but to give what happens, in wrestling meaning, they've got to be fighting over something, and the best thing to do is a championship. I would look no further than what Cody and Aldis were able to do at All In just by talking up the importance of being the NWA champion.
See, I'd go championships are important to distinguish the difference between tangible and intangible. Where the first reaction that I had for this question was Jake the Snake Roberts. He is clearly a legend, Hall of Famer. People will talk about him if they, go back in time and think about like people that are around that era and different things like that, and major influences on their careers and different things like that. He never won a single title in WWE. But because he never won a single title in WWE, people can't bring him up into the conversation for a lot of things. Like when they talk about the United States Championships and they go like, lots of people have won the United States title. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Lex Luger, all these other kind of things. They can bring their names up. And every time that the Intercontinental Championship is brought up, Chris Jericho is brought up. The Miz is brought up now because The Miz is really high up there. Honky Tonk Man is brought up. And without winning a title like that, you lose that credibility factor a little bit, where if you could say like Jake the Snake Roberts is a legend, and then you go, yeah, but how many titles has he won? When we're doing a Mount Rushmore, that would come into factor, I would think. So it's not 100% necessary. It's not the type of thing where it's like somebody can't get into the Hall of Fame because they're not considered great because they didn't win as many championships as somebody else. And it's also not the type of thing where if you've won a championship, you're immediately great, because nobody's talking about like, I don't know, Rene Dupree.
Sid.
Or like, we've had Jinder Mahal as the WWE champion. Is he great? No. And he's a WWE champion, and Roddy Piper didn't win that title, But at the same time, I can see where somebody can kind of say like, all right, Edge is better than Christian because he's won so many titles.
It's a substance based thing. It's certain people don't really need championships to make them stand out as legends in like the history of wrestling, whereas certain people do need it, but it depends on the value of your championship going into it. We just put a clear example. We could probably look at the substance of it. Is Jinder Mahal's a former WWE champion? He doesn't mean anything now. It didn't mean anything before, and during the time it didn't really get elevated because now he's nowhere.
All right, but to Tony's point, you're always going to be able to bring him up in a conversation if you choose. Like, if they feel like it doesn't matter if Jinder Mahal is wrestling on Main Event, you can always say that's former WWE champion Jinder Mahal. So
Yeah, but
there's always this air of greatness, even if it's not.
Well, no, that
really
to me that's not adding an air of greatness. That's diminishing the value of your title. That's saying, oh my god, this guy was WWE champion. God, this title like sucks. Like, you know what that makes it sound like? It makes it sound like wrestling is fake. And I hate things that make things sound like wrestling is fake.
I'll give you that.
I can see that.
Because it's just a sense of like the champions. If it's in a perfect scenario, the champion should be the person that realistically should be holding the championship for the longest amount of time. It should be one of your top stars. It should be someone who wins most of the time. Somebody who's like the best fighter, puts on the best performances, best on the mic, whatever stuff you want, whatever criteria you want to fit into it. It's when other people, like, it doesn't elevate people that aren't at that stature to hold those championships. Holding those championships just makes it seem like they were given the title, or they don't deserve the championship, or, yeah, like I said, like wrestling is fake, as opposed to, wow, I can actually get invested in this guy, or make it at least pretend that it's a real sport, because these guys are useless and they're holding championships that are well above their station.
I think it's kind of one of those things where it depends on a give and take. For a good example, I think, is Mark Henry. Henry is a guy that I always liked, and I always thought that he was underrated. But since he never won the championship for so many years, people were kind of going like, oh, I hope he retires and stuff. And then he won the championship. He won the ECW championship, and people were like, oh, look at that. He could actually win like a somewhat close to a world title. And then he won the World Heavyweight Championship. And I was so happy for him to win that, because I was like, all right, that legitimizes him as somebody who was able to be at the top, at least for a short amount of time. And when Kane won his second World Heavyweight Championship, that was good for me, because I was like, crap, he only won that title for one night. That's not good enough for Kane. And being able to say that they won those titles, I think, does make them get into this different echelon of different people. Whereas if you were to give the WWE Championship to, like, say, the first name that popped in my mind was Kama Mustafa. During that time frame, he might have been a big enough character to win the Intercontinental title. But if he would have won the world title, I don't think we would be looking back and going, oh my god, world champion Kama Mustafa, what a great top kind of tier person. Godfather was better. And he didn't need that world title to be great to a certain extent, you know?
Another one that you gotta think about is a guy like Sid. Sid, you can make fun of the fact that his promos sucked or whatever, but whenever he was around, he was always near the top of that card and always in the world title discussion. And that, to me, makes it like he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think so. Two-time, I think, world champion, right? Or two-time WWE champion. He won it.
Two-time WWE champion.
I don't know how many times elsewhere. But yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer to me. And I would love to hear a giant speech from him. Vader, though. Vader never won the WWE title. And Vader's a Hall of Famer from his other career and stuff, but that hurts his legacy in WWE, I think, having never won that title. So it's kind of one of those issues where if you were a bad superstar and you win the title, winning the title doesn't make you better. If you're a good superstar and you don't win the title, it doesn't diminish your legacy enough to make you not great. But if you're a very, very, very good superstar and you win the title, I think you are great. It pushes you over the edge.
Yeah.
Let's go to Harvey's question here that I'm not going to be able to answer. I've been watching Impact lately, and I don't understand for the life of me why they're keeping Fallah Bahh. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
All he is, since he turned face, is almost looks like the retarded version of Yokozuna, but from the Philippines, and he hits his head with his hand and goes, bah. And also, why is KM with him when he was just a heel a year and a half ago, paired off with Sienna being Sienna's storyline brother? I don't understand what they're doing with the both of them. So I have no idea what any of this means.
First of all, I like that you're invested enough in Impact to ask this question. Typically, when monster heels turn good, they end up looking a little dim-witted, shall we say? You know, like Kamala, or, you know, just when really big monsters have to then be the sensitive giant, it doesn't really work out. I think pairing him with Kevin Matthews is fine. And, you know, I like what they're doing enough to give it a chance and see where it goes rather than just write them off.
Yeah, I'd just say that they're interesting comedy guys at the moment, and they both have potential. I think I understand. I mean, I don't like using the R word in any sort of connotation, especially relating to this, because it's just a comedy gimmick. So, and it's not hurting anybody. They're just in the tag team division in Impact Wrestling, and I don't think there's. I mean, maybe with like KM going forward could turn heel on him and then push himself towards the top of the scene, but the top of Impact Wrestling is too crowded for them to actually make any sort of impact. And I don't think like either one of them is going to reach too much beyond what they currently have. And they're enjoyable as it is, so I think they're worth their while in Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
So Sienna is the one that's Allison Kay in the Mae Young Classic, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so she is going to be popping up, I think tonight, actually. I think her match is tonight. I just Googled Fallah Bahh. He's got that Yokozuna type of vibe going on.
He's got
That's
the
the gear that he wears.
So he's not Japanese either? Is that what it is?
No, he's not Japanese.
At least they're not calling him Japanese. That's what, I don't know why they did that with WWE. Let's go to Frankie's questions. How will the Mae Young Classic winner play a factor into the NXT Women's title? I'm kind of working under the assumption it's going to be the same as what it ended up being before. Kairi Sane last year, she got an NXT Women's title shot, but she didn't win it right away. She got it now, and you know she's going into. I'm assuming she's going into Evolution as a champion, but who knows with the tapings. I'm assuming we get somebody like an Io Shirai winning the championship next year, and the Mae Young Classic is kind of like the thing to put her on the map beforehand.
I see the exact same scenario.
Yeah, she'll get an opportunity at the Women's Championship. She may not win it, but I imagine whoever the winner is will get the shot.
Yeah.
Did they already announce Asuka's match for Evolution?
Nope.
No, but
So-
the way things are going right now, it seems like it's going to be her and Naomi against the Iconics. At some
That's
point.
what I'm concerned about. They
But
need
that's
to not
already
do
been
that.
that's already been booked for Super Showdown, so they may not do it again.
Okay, good.
I'm actually kind of thinking Asuka's not really going to do anything.
No, I
I
think
s-
she's going to. I think, well, based on what the projected card, because they leaked out a few things, but we don't know whether it's actually true or not. Apparently, the two ideas that seem to be best fit for her is a match with like an inter-brand match against Ember Moon, because we know those matches are good anyway, or she'll end up being in some sort of battle royal.
Yeah. I hope that card that they leaked, I hope that that's not the thing, because that
Yeah, I showed
was,
that to Tony.
that
Didn't
was
you say that
not a
there's no
good
way in
card.
hell that you're believing that?
Well, they had Kelly and Alicia Fox fighting for the tag team championship.
Yeah, that threw me off a little bit.
That
Well,
to
when
me
you-
makes no sense. 'Cause,
When you
I mean-
advertise 50 women for a card, there's gonna be some random pairings in there.
Yeah, but I would think that would be the spot where you'd see Sasha and Bailey. And I can't imagine Kelly Kelly coming back and fighting for the tag team championship and pairing with Alicia Fox to do it too. Especially because it's like Alicia's like a crazy heel. And if Kelly Kelly's going to come back and just be Kelly Kelly, that's a pairing that doesn't make any sense to me. I would think more so Kelly Kelly coming back and teaming with like, maybe teaming with Ember Moon, maybe teaming with, you know, I don't really know who else. Because if she wanted to come back and be like a bitchy heel, I don't know if she could pull it off. But like, even then, who would you team her up with? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not buying it. If they start announcing some of the other matches, though, I'm gonna start getting a little bit worried because that did not look like a good card.
Didn't they have Ivory teaming with Sasha and Bailey?
Yeah, it was Ivory and them against the Riot
Riots?
Squad or something like that, which is like, I do not want to see that. That's fucking awful. Could Bianca Belair be something special on the main roster? Definitely.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, frankly, at her current state, she could be the top name on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah,
So,
I could see that.
I think it's like she's very good in the ring. She's got an amazing charisma and personality. She stands out above pretty much anybody right now.
Yeah. She's fantastic. Top 5 on NXT right now. And yeah, she's going to be a big thing on the main roster. I mean, she has the makings of a star.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say that she will be a great thing on the main roster because
I think she could be. I didn't say...
Could and will is completely different when it
Yes,
comes to NXT and the main roster.
she definitely could, but so could have Bailey.
So could have a lot of people. Ty Dillinger could have even been fucking great if they would have gone and done something. Mm-hmm. Shinsuke Nakamura could have been a lot better. Samoa Joe hasn't done jack shit. You know,
even a guy like Bo Dallas could have been more.
The Ascension. Look at the Ascension. They were completely dominant. They're a joke. And they've been a joke for almost the entirety of their main roster run. There's almost never been a time frame where they haven't been a complete joke. And that's just ridiculous. But, hey, I'm not the one booking the cards. If I was, you wouldn't be seeing anything close to that Evolution one. Yeah, I think Bianca Belair is in the situation of like an Ember Moon where she's almost de facto like the top person right now, and she might not get as like strong of a push as she should because she might go to the main roster beforehand a little bit. And I hope that they don't Ember Moon her by bringing her up and then just doing nothing with her, you know?
I hate when we feel that it makes most sense to use people's names as verbs to describe how poorly they can be used.
Well, that's the case, though. Ember Moon is a perfect example. That's why I brought her up. Like, she went from fighting Asuka and losing, and then it was like, oh my god, like, when is she going to beat Asuka? And then she just didn't. So then they put the title on her, and then it was her first, she started immediately with Shayna Baszler, and she couldn't even fully beat Shayna Baszler 100%, and then she loses it. And then she goes to the main roster, and then she hasn't done anything. And that's like, crap, if you weren't going to plan on doing anything with her, you should have just kept her in NXT, you know? And I hope that Bianca Belair doesn't find herself in that kind of a position. I hope she's more of an Alexa Bliss. Alexa comes up to the main roster, she wins the title in a couple of months, becomes one of the main people. Carmella took a little bit longer, but that makes sense.
Do you think that was done on purpose? Because that was something that the creative team on the main roster could say, look at what we did with them, rather than say, look at how good NXT did with them.
For Alexa?
For Alexa and Carmella.
I think Vince McMahon just likes hot blondes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of more of that. I think that he probably was like, oh, they're talented, we should bring them up.
Yeah, I don't want to just say Vince McMahon there. It's Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn. That's basically it, really.
We're going to talk about the idea of people being liked and stuff and for no particular reason moving around in a little bit, because we have another question that kind of deals with that. But let's get into some food stuff. At least we got one question here. We're going to have a couple ones popping up here and there. Frankie asks, are you a big fan of lava cake? Not really.
I don't love it, but I'm good with it.
I'm not sure what it is.
Lava cake is any kind of cake. It's usually chocolate, where
Then I know.
you've got like a regular cake, but when you open it up, like you stick your fork or your spoon or whatever in it, a whole bunch of chocolate spills out.
Yeah, it
It's
just
like melted
oozes out.
chocolate.
It doesn't
I don't,
necessarily have to be chocolate, but it usually is.
I'm
Yeah,
not a big fan of soggy cakes.
To me, lava cake is the type of thing where it's almost like the icing is on the inside, and I like regular cake a little bit more. That's kind of like, I know that Caroline would kill me if I said that, because she's always talking about how Brazilian cake is like that, and she misses it and loves it and all this other kind of stuff. But yeah, give me, more than anything though, give me like regular cake. I'm cool with that.
Let's talk about cheesecake. Cheesecake is the best cake.
I don't know if I'd go that far. It's up there. Cheesecake is pretty awesome. Very underrated. Who the hell are going to take the titles off War Raiders after they eventually beat the Undisputed Era? Nobody that's in there right now, that's for sure. They're not going to put that on like Heavy Machinery over that.
If I had to make a guess, I'd say the Forgotten Sons.
Yeah, that was kind of my guess. Who's someone who's currently on the NXT roster. But that's the thing with NXT, is like it's likely that the next champions will be someone who's not even signed to the company yet.
Right.
So if I was going with somebody who's been rumored and then may come along, I'd probably go with Phoenix and Pentagon.
They just announced that they're not signing.
I know, but there's
War Raiders might keep it for a year.
Yeah, they could. That wouldn't be too discouraging. Maybe, I don't know, bring the Revival back down because they're doing fuck all in the main roster and have them.
I am with that. I am all for that.
Do you guys like War Raiders?
I
Not
preferred.
really.
I preferred War Machine, but they're. That sounds like the typical like, oh, they're better when they're in Ring of Honor. That's like, oh, El Generico and Kevin Steen and stuff like that. But they haven't really done much. But
I don't like them.
They haven't been able to sink into a real feud yet. I don't think we haven't got to see the full potential of them in an actual competitive match.
I'm not a fan. To me, they come off as kind of like, this sounds so like douchey to say, but it's like they come off as big indie guys who would be a big deal in a really low rent promotion. Like they look intimidating, but they don't look like they're WWE superstars to me. And that's like a very like Vince McMahon type thing to say. But they don't have much personality that I can tell. And their moves in the ring are like powerful and everything, but I'm not invested in it. So at the end of the day, when War Raiders come out, I'm like, okay. And then they leave, and then I'm like, all right, so two big tough guys beat two jobbers at the end. I don't really care.
I much preferred the Authors of Pain in that role of the big guy tag teams.
Yeah, they were much better. I like the Authors of Pain. We're going to complain about them later on, too.
Do you guys prefer NXT before it was like the super indie, or do you like it better now?
I like it better now.
It's consistently been good, so I don't think it's really the quality hasn't changed that much.
It used to be FCW to me.
Oh yeah, it was definitely in like 2012, 2013, like probably up to like early to mid 2014 it was probably like that. But since then, yeah, I think it's just been a high standard and that's mainly down to just the booking and presentation of it more than the actual the talent that's involved.
Okay, I agree with that.
So let's dive into snack talk time. Chips Ahoy or Oreos?
Oreos all day. Oreos are so good, guy. Like, they're great.
What are Chips Ahoy?
Yeah,
they're
all the cookies.
They're chocolate chip cookies that are very bland. And I mean, I'm the type of guy, chocolate chip cookies might be my favorite dessert type thing. Of course, like sometimes it's like, man, I really want like a chip witch, or like I really want like, hell, even like I want a lava cake or something like that. But like my go-to is chocolate chip cookies for just like a regular type thing. But I like soft cookies.
Yes.
And Chips Ahoy are just all crunchy. It's like
Yes.
they use like a dehydrator or something for it, because that's, to make it to where it can preserve as long as it can possibly be. But chewy chocolate chip cookies taste fucking weird to me. They don't taste like a soft chocolate chip cookie. They just taste like somebody took like a ball of cookie dough and made it really thin and tried to sell me that it was a cookie. So I'm not a big fan of chewy chocolate chip cookies either. Oreos, though, they're distinct. They're awesome. And if you are an Oreo fan and you don't use the fork method to dip your Oreos in the milk, use a fork. It is life-changing. You take a fork, you poke it through the cream in the center, you dunk that in. You could dunk the whole Oreo. You don't have to get your finger wet. Awesome.
Life-changing.
Yeah. But if you give me a fucking pack of Chips Ahoy, I'll munch on that too. Why not? That's that kind of thing. What's your favorite brand of chips? I love me some Doritos and Tostitos. Frankie's got the toes. That's what he likes. I'll pick Doritos as my favorite. I love barbecue chips, though. Sun chips are great. Funyuns are good. Regular, just Lay's potato chips are really good.
I like Wise potato chips the best.
Really?
Like, yeah, they have just a better taste. I don't know if it's like they seem a lot more
Wise?
less airier than the Lay's chips do, and specifically the onion and garlic Wise chips, so good.
Haven't tried the onion and garlic. I like sour cream and onion chips, which is weird because I don't like sour cream. And I'm not the biggest fan of onion. But I like sour cream and onion chips. Tell you one thing I am never, ever, ever, ever going to eat. Those fucking ketchup chips.
Ugh.
Ketchup is like my biggest no as far ketchup and pickles and like relish and all that kind of stuff. Beyond anything, those two are the things I just cannot stand. And Caroline was eating some ketchup chips the other day, and I was just like, practically gagging at the smell of it. Ugh. Gross. What about you, Callum? Chips. You're not a big fan of chocolate. You're totally wrong on that one, but what do you think on this?
Well, crisps, as the more intelligent among us call it.
You're already wrong.
We in terms of my favourite ones, I'd probably go with either Pringles or Quavers or hula hoops.
I've never heard of the last two.
So you've heard of Pringles, obviously,
Yeah.
because once you pop, you just can't stop anyway. So that's kind of like a go-to. Quavers and hula hoops. Hula hoops are basically just like potato rings essentially.
They're called hula hoops?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, so there's like basically just little rings of like potato that are quite crunchy, and depending on what flavour you get, they're quite good. I quite like the texture of them. And then Quavers are just like very cheesy crisps, which is funny because I'm not usually a fan of cheese, especially synthetic stuff, but they taste good to me. So those are the ones that I'd go to. So for any of the non-American listeners, can try out those ones if they haven't had them before.
So these look very similar, the Quavers and the hula hoops. They're very like thick.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look that bad.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some sort of market somewhere that Americans can get hold of them.
Bugles are good. They're a rarity, but they're good. I had something in my mind a second ago that was like the fucking worst out of like the standard kind of ones? Fritos.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Fritos at all. Since you mentioned the whole crisp and chip kind of thing, if you're going with chips, then you're talking about what we would call fries.
Uh-huh.
How do you rank those kind of things? You've got like, you might call them different things, but over here we've got like crinkle cut, we've got waffle fries, curly fries, shoestring, potato sticks, like steak fries. There's lots of different varieties. Tater tots.
Based on your descriptions of them, I'd probably go with the curly fries. I don't really like chips, obviously, here, but fries that are very thick.
All right, so you wouldn't be a big fan of steak fries.
Nah, probably not.
What about you, Rob? What's your like your rank when it comes to that a little bit.
It would be like steak fries, wedges, and then crinkle cut for me.
Huh. I totally forgot about wedges. It's good old KFC. I'd probably go curly as the best. But man, sometimes you just want like Wendy's like straight cut type fries, or I'm not the biggest fan of waffle fries. I know that a lot of people love them. I don't know, something about the texture of them. But the ones I really don't like, I hate those little smiley face ones. Those aren't fucking fries. Those are mashed potatoes. I don't get what the fuck what do you think. Another question here though from Frankie. Do you like peanut butter? Yep.
Love peanut butter, man.
Great for dessert. Not like just peanut butter, but like a peanut butter kind of chocolate combo thing for dessert. So good. Here's
Not a
where
fan.
Caleb says no.
No, I'm not a fan of it. I don't like nuts. It's horrible. It's like really. I don't know. I don't want something that I'm spreading to be that savoury.
All right, so we're officially changing this. You're Byron.
No, I'm Corey because I hate everything.
Yeah, that makes him more Corey.
No, you're Byron and your coach and Percy. The three people that are like struggling the most.
So
at least be Otunga.
You could be Otunga, yeah. No, Otunga's worse than all three of them. So.
Yeah, it means I got a law degree and I was briefly engaged to a really rich singer. So yeah,
You're Mike Adamley on commentary. That's what you are.
It's making me crazy.
Peanut butter is so good. I tried
but how do you guys
cookie
feel about
butter.
Nutella?
Well, Nutella is something that I didn't think that I would like, and I only actually had it for the first time last year. And I was like, oh, fuck, this is really good. But it does not work on certain things. They show that people are putting Nutella on a slice of bread. That just doesn't work.
It works for me. I make a sandwich out of it. Peanut butter, Nutella, and banana.
I couldn't get into it. But you put I had like a Nutella crepe one time. I've had a Nutella donut. And if they basically treat it like chocolate, it's really good. But, you know, outside of putting it on like a graham cracker or something like that, if you put it on just a regular slice of like white bread, it seems strange to me. Got a wrestling question though here. We got, do you think Ruby Riott will ever win a title in WWE?
Yes. I don't see why not. I mean, you know.
I'm leaning more towards no at this point.
Yeah, but you just don't like her.
Well, I think that by this time, if she would have won it, she probably would have.
I don't think she's a priority is the issue.
Yeah.
I think there are other people on both Raw and SmackDown that are going to get pushed to the title more frequently than she is.
But I think
if
she'll
on
get
SmackDown,
it.
if she was on SmackDown, potentially, I don't think she's ever touching the Raw Women's Championship.
No, that's the thing.
It's-
And when it
it's
comes
kinda
down
like
to like the Riot Squad, I don't think that they're helping her.
Well, it's kind of like we were just talking about. You never know with these things because sometimes they'll wake up one day and be like, Jinder Mahal champion 6 months. Let's do it. You know?
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't think Ruby Riott has any Indian heritage, or Saudi Arabian for that matter, if they want to be pushing that side of things.
One day they're going to want to get into the pseudo punk scene, and bam, she's in.
Let me go with a really bold prediction then. I think Kavita Devai will win a women's championship before Ruby Riott does.
Oh God, please no.
It's all
Ruby
about them YouTube
Riott
hits.
is, I think, going to be one of those people that she never won the NXT title, and when she got to the main roster, they put her on there because she was a reliable hand, but she wasn't a priority pick to like do something with her all that much.
Sounds that
And
right, yeah.
when push comes to shove, I think they're always going to pick somebody else. And she might win it if she's there a long time. Like, she might get one of those, like, legacy championships. But look at Tamina. Tamina was, like, the tough woman in WWE for a couple of years, and she still never won the title. I don't think anybody in the Riot Squad will. I think they're all just going to be supporting players. And for that matter, I don't think Mandy Rose or Sonya Deville are going to win it either.
Well, if we go with what Callum was saying earlier about Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn liking blonde women, then I think Liv Morgan and Mandy Rose do stand a chance.
Mandy Rose will, I think. And I think Sonya Deville will as well, just because of the LGBT thing. See, it's always like a horrible way to go about it, but
like I hate
every
that.
decision they make has an ulterior motive behind it.
I
I
really
think out
hate
of those
that.
5, Mandy Rose has the best chance.
Yeah, I'd say both. If I was to rank them, I'd say Mandy, Sonia, Liv, Ruby, and then Sarah, because I assume she'll get
Yeah,
released at some
Sarah
point.
ain't touching that shit.
I'd rank Liv behind Ruby. I think Ruby's got a better shot. Liv is kind of... Liv's there because she's cute. That's it, I think, really. Would you like Apollo Crews to get a singles push with Dana Brooke as his manager? I think Crews has been vastly underrated for a couple of years now.
I don't want Apollo Crews anywhere near anything at this point. Apollo Crews, for whatever reason, was in NXT for like 2 months and got called up to the main roster. Meanwhile, they've had Chris Hero sitting down there for I don't know how long. I don't know why this dude got skyrocketed to the main roster, but he's done nothing since he's been there. And it's not that he's not impressively athletic, but there's so many people who fit that category that he doesn't stand out. And I just, at this point, he's one of those guys who would be better off going back to the independent scene.
Yeah, I think he just has a serious lack of personality. And it's not like he's not a nice guy, but that's just it. He's just a nice guy, essentially. And I don't see any particular value in it. I don't think you can class most people like Apollo Crews, where they're very good in the ring and just haven't really been given a lot of opportunities. You'd suggest they are underrated, but I think he's been given the amount of opportunities he kind of merits. He was given Titus Worldwide and had a chance to like run with that for a while. And like after coming in, he was given short feuds with like Sheamus and putting some Money in the Bank matches or things along those lines. Given on Intercontinental Championship opportunities, but he doesn't do anything for anybody. I really don't know how many people would class themselves as fans of Apollo Crews.
$1 million smile there.
I think a multi-part question, because one of the parts of this is, would you like to see him get a singles push with Dana Brooke as his manager?
I'd like to see him both get pushed out the door.
Well, Brooke is... I feel bad for Dana Brooke nowadays, because especially like when it came to WrestleMania, that women's battle royal, they didn't announce Dana Brooke until like Saturday, and they did it on WWE Now, which to me is bullshit.
And she was the second person eliminated as well.
Yeah, and it's like, she's still a part of your damn company. Like, cut the woman some slack, you know? I don't think Dana Brooke is going to go anywhere. I don't think she's really... She peaked pretty much at her debut in NXT. And it sounds a little bit mean to say, but I think Dana Brooke would be better off if she got released and if she tried a completely different career. I don't think wrestling's for her.
But I think that for whatever reason, maybe it's just because they want to do more with the cruiserweights, I don't know, but they seem to be making a slow return to managers. If they can establish a personality with Dana Brooke, then maybe she would be valuable.
I don't think she has the personality for it, though. That's the thing. Like, she's tried this whole statistician thing with Titus Worldwide, and I think it's been awful.
I was going to say, if she wants to change career, she's probably got a good, promising future in accountancy. So.
But that's one part.
The numbers.
The whole Apollo singles push with Dana Brooke as the manager, 100% definitely not. Singles push for Apollo Crews, I don't think that's a thing in the future either, because he's got a good look to him, and he's certainly athletic, but he has no charisma. And, I mean, if he were standing right in front of me right now, I'd have to admit the same thing. It wouldn't be like, oh, well, yeah, I think that you should, whatever. It's like, look, not everybody has the over-the-top type of personality to be in WWE and do that kind of a thing. Some people are just really good wrestlers, and he's a really good wrestler. But he's not a character. He's just a guy. So if they were to like turn him heel, and if he were to show that he has some other kind of personality, sometimes that's the thing that really kind of jumpstarts somebody. And then maybe. Right now, though, with the smiling babyface Apollo Crews that he's been from the very, very start, he had his shot to win like the Intercontinental title, and he didn't. And then they pushed him into the tag team role, and he didn't even win a tag team title. at this point, I think Apollo Crews is a guy that if he would have stayed in NXT, he might have won that North American Championship. And then maybe he could have gotten like a confidence boost or something. Maybe he could have even won the NXT Championship if they would have gone that route. But it passed by. And now he's been there a couple of years. It's long enough that if they would have done something with him, they probably would have. And he's just going to wrestle and then kind of drop off. Sadly, I also think the same thing's happening with Tyler Breeze,
which I despise.
I think Breeze is that type of guy that if they would have kept him in NXT a little bit longer, maybe, even though he was there for so long, and they actually would have given him the NXT title, he would have came onto the main roster with a lot more pizzazz. Or if they would have brought him onto the main roster and given him the Intercontinental title or the United States title, he'd have a lot more to go with. And that kind of takes us back a little bit to the championship thing. Sometimes if you give somebody a championship, they have that momentum to carry them going forward. And Pritchard talks about this on his podcast once in a while. He says, if you bring somebody in as a top guy, people see them as a top guy.
Yep.
And if you bring them in the mid-card, they have to work their way up and stuff, you get a Ty Dillinger. I like Ty Dillinger a lot, but he is not a priority on SmackDown right now. And SmackDown isn't like we've got so many people and there's not enough time. They just clearly don't want to push him. So I think Apollo Crews is in that same boat as Breeze and Dillinger. It's not going to work out, sadly. What do we have here? Have you watched Impact Slammiversary since it was critically acclaimed? I got to admit that it was freaking awesome. I honestly didn't even hear that it was good.
I thought I told you it was good. I watched it live. It was amazing. It's pretty good.
Huh.
And
Totally
I'm saying that 100% in the context of, I was really beginning to believe that Impact, no matter who got the reins, was dead and buried. And then you watch something like Slammiversary, and you go, wow, they're really making some good moves. And the talent that they've signed is really making a difference. And I thought Slammiversary was great. Callum, did you see it, or am I the only one?
I saw it.
Wasn't it good?
It was good. I think it's been completely over-exaggerated how great it was. The Su
What's
Young
better,
match,
Impact Slammiversary or Peanut Butter?
Impact Slammiversary.
Oh, god damn it.
But the Su Young match was dreadful. Su Young's a terrible wrestler. She's a great gimmick, but she's a terrible wrestler. And there were far too many hardcore matches, one after another. Especially, it's 2018. I don't want to see Tommy Dreamer in another hardcore match. It's like, can you just find someone who's even mid-30s or early 40s at this point? It was a great step in the right direction for them. I just think it's been overhyped how good that show was, when the first match was the best match in the entire show and the rest of the stuff was ranged from good to average.
I wouldn't say the first match was the best match, because the first match was the John Morrison, Petey Williams.
Yeah, I know what the first match was. It was the best match in my opinion.
Okay, well, I really liked the Pentagon Sami Callihan brawl. I know Jonathan from Smark Out Moment was a really big fan of the tag title match. I don't know. I thought it was good. It felt refreshing.
I would have liked those matches in a vacuum if there hadn't been one hardcore match after another hardcore match after another hardcore match. It diminished. It was diminishing returns for me, and I thought the main event was a disappointment.
The main event was a disappointment. I'll give you that.
It all sucked. I don't know.
Real quick, I'm not loving Aries in his current run.
I think he fits the role as world champion. It's just that I don't think Aries is the problem. The problem is they don't have somebody good enough to actually challenge him at the moment. They're trying to build Eddie Edwards up, but it's the crazy hardcore guy. Yeah, he's going to be the guy challenging for it.
How do you feel about the main event of Bound for Glory being him and Morrison?
It could work. Morrison's got enough power behind him to be a decent main event star. Well, he's obviously done it with other promotions as well, but It's whether they want to give him the title for a long term because he's got so many other commitments and things along those lines.
Right.
But I don't think Aries is the problem. I think the problem is the other talent needing to catch up with him.
I hope they do get not a major signing soon, but somebody good enough that can be built up to be a main event guy.
And that's the TNA talk for this.
All right. Now I'm gonna pivot over to a non-wrestling one here. This is another one from Frankie, of course. It's time for one last Big Brother question. First off, what are your thoughts on Big Brother 21 not being renewed yet, especially with the fact that Julie Chen could be leaving due to her sicko and pervert of a husband? Who do you think will win? Who do you think will be the final two? And what are your thoughts on all of JC's sexual conduct allegations? Also, how would you rate this season? I think that this has been a great season. It'll be Angela and Tyler at the end, and Tyler will win. Casey will win against anyone, and Tyler will as well, except against Casey. By the way, that double eviction was amazing. So a lot to unpack here. First question, though, Rob, are you still watching Big Brother?
I dropped off.
I unfortunately have missed a couple episodes just from workload and stuff like that, but the double eviction thing was, they do this every year. Double eviction is when they do an entire week's worth of Big Brother in one episode, and they spring it on the house guests. So it's like, okay, we're going to evict somebody tonight, but we're also going to do head of household and the power of veto and the nominations and everything like that, and you're going to evict somebody, and you have no time to plan things out. So it's usually really cool. And this double eviction was like, they took a shot, they ended up knocking out Brett, and I was like, no, because I liked Brett. He was a complete asshole. Let's see, JC's sexual conduct allegations. He's done a couple things, and I think that he's just one of those people that thinks that because he's a part of a couple different minority groups that he can get away with anything, and that's bullshit. So I hope that he kind of gets his mindset changed in the future and doesn't continue to do that kind of stuff. I don't necessarily think he should have been booted from the show. Some people were like, why isn't he just kicked out? I think that that's up to like people like Tyler and everybody to kind of like make that call. And, you know, they're the ones that are affected. If they wanted to, they could have like pressed charges or something like that, I guess. I don't know. How would I rate this season? I think it's been a great season overall. One of the better ones, thankfully, because I didn't hate people this time around. And usually there's a couple of people that I just cannot fucking stand, like Rachel in previous seasons and stuff. And when that's the kind of season that I'm watching and they try to build up like a villain, it bugs the crap out of me, and then I just don't want to watch the show. So thankfully this time around I didn't hate people. So that was a lot easier to digest. The Julie Chen thing, I have no idea. Les Moonves was booted out of CBS, and he's her husband, and Julie Chen left that talk show that she's on. It's like she's not The View, but it's something like that. Yeah, she left that. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if she actually is out of Big Brother too, if she's just like kind of cutting ties with everything on CBS. And if that's the case, kind of sucks for her that she loses all of her career because of her husband. But then again, if you stand by your husband and if he's the type of guy that's in that kind of a situation, maybe you would be better off if you just kind of like left your husband. I don't know. That's a tough situation to say. Big Brother not being renewed. I think it'll be renewed, but then we might just get a new host, and they might just try and figure that out. As far as the final two, who do I want to win, that kind of stuff, I definitely 100% want Tyler to win. And if he's smart, I think he'll pick Angela to be against him in the final two. He'd be suffering a little bit more if he was against Casey. She has a better shot to win against him. I think JC isn't going to win. So if it's Tyler and JC or Tyler and Angela, I think Tyler wins. I wish that it would have been Brett or Sam, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So there's the Big Brother talk. All right.
Real quick, as of a couple hours ago, TMZ reported that Julie Chen will remain doing Big Brother.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's good, though, because I like Chenbot. I like the whole, like, butt first and all the other kind of stuff. It's used. I'm 21 seasons of this. I'm used to it by now, you know? If they would have just been like, hey, Ryan Seacrest is going to host it, I'd be like, oh, god damn it, you know? Let's see. How would you rate Paige as general manager so far? She's all right.
Good.
Yeah, I think overall she's doing a good job.
Better than I thought she'd be.
I like when the general managers aren't a focal point, you know? Imagine that.
Yeah, she kind of she gets involved when she needs to, but the rest of the time it's like, just get on with what's going on. If you need me to progress the story in some way, then I'll do it.
I do kind of think it's weird though when somebody like a Samoa Joe is talking to her and he's all like, kind of like, "Oh, you're my boss" and stuff, and it's like, she seems like, she's like half your age or like one of those kind of things, and it's comes off a little bit weird, but she's fine.
I think she comes across as like, I don't know. It's like, even though she's a lot younger than a lot of the people on the roster, it's not like they undermine her or anything along those lines. That's about it.
Yeah.
Really.
I thought she would have been a lot worse than what she is. And if she sticks around a little bit while longer, I'm cool with it. But at the same time, I'm not loving it so much that if they replaced her with somebody that I would be like devastated, I'd be more than cool with like somebody else coming in, depending on who it is. If they replace her with David Otunga, no. If they replace her with JBL, I'm cool with JBL,
No.
Well, I'm just glad that with all the stuff that's always going on Raw, that we just have a GM that just makes matches and isn't like, and this is going to revolve around my authority.
Yeah. Oh, that's SmackDown for you. More than likely, if that's going to be happening, it's going to be happening on SmackDown. It's almost as if the writers are different.
Huh.
Do you think there's any stock to The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania?
Stock to The Rock. I think it's a good match. I can see why people would just groan, but I think it's a good match. I also think that New York will shit on it, so maybe not.
Well, if their main goal is to get Roman Reigns cheered in most situations, then they'd completely fail with that one. But I think they would absolutely love that match to take place. But I think with The Rock's insurance premiums now at an all-time high after he got injured in the last big match he had at WrestleMania, it probably won't take place.
If they can make it happen, it's a huge match. One of the biggest matches that they could possibly do. But it's also one of the stupidest things that they could do when it comes to Roman Reigns. There is absolutely no way, whether it's New York or not, no way in hell Roman Reigns gets cheered over The Rock.
But I think that's one that they'd be willing to accept.
Yeah, but
they
then,
would
Maybe.
then you have
have
Roman
Roman
Reigns
be a
beat
heel.
The Rock.
And then he gets booed even more.
And then you do the Rock thing of holding his hand up at the end of the show.
That I wouldn't do.
And
that's
then
what
he
they
gets
will
booed
do.
even more. And then you come out on Monday Night Raw afterward and he gets booed
I'd
incessantly. And
something along the lines of that I'd personally prefer is Reigns against Batista. Because Batista's already said multiple times that he wants to come back, so that one's far more likely to take place just due to Batista's interest in it. And you can play off the story of what happened at the Royal Rumble, last time Batista won it, in the crowd was so anti-Batista that they decided to cheer Roman Reigns. It's like, just build a story of like, and now the crowd has turned against you, and then it's just like, you're just like me, and then try and build it off that.
And that's another big match that they could do too. Roman against Batista. I mean, they've fought in like the whole context of the Shield and the Authority, but it's still a big enough WrestleMania type thing. At the same time, though, you book Roman Reigns against almost anybody like that, Roman's going to be booed. And if they would just be willing to turn Roman Reigns heel, just imagine how fun heel Roman Reigns against babyface The Rock could be leading up to WrestleMania. Versus babyface Roman Reigns getting booed against somewhat heel, somewhat babyface The Rock, who everybody cheers. That, like, distinction makes all the difference. You turn Reigns heel, it's monumental. And then when you get the boos, it's magnified and it means more. And when he beats The Rock, it's like, oh, you fucker, like that kind of thing. It's just something that they probably won't do.
They did use Rock to turn Punk heel. And it worked for them,
Yeah, but that was Punk. They didn't like him.
That's true. What do you guys think about Cody saying on Twitter yesterday that, it's really time to put to rest the terms heel and face? that there's no such thing anymore. And I completely disagree, because we have shown time and again that when you book a story properly and there's a proper heel and a proper face, that people are significantly more into it.
And it's just, there's always a bad guy and a good guy in certain situations. Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was acting like an asshole, but he was the good guy. And it's just like, people like good and evil. And you can play around with it here and there, and you can make people where they're, Stone Cold Steve Austin was basically a heel that was fighting villains, so he was a good guy by default and different things like that, but you can't just completely abandon the idea of good and bad. Because then what are you doing? Then you're doing UFC, where it's like, not even UFC necessarily as much anymore, because people try to be villains and heroes. But then you get two random guys against each other. And really, does anybody care if there's not a heel or a babyface thing, but you get Arya Davari against Akira Tozawa, and they're just two guys, and there's no story to tell?
Well, that sounds awful.
So that's kind of how I see that. But what do you guys think is, this is far enough away that we don't know, but Rock and Reigns at WrestleMania, I'm assuming it's not happening, but what do you guys think we're getting for the Universal title?
Shield triple threat.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
In my head, it's Shield triple threat, or it's Reigns and Brock again.
Exactly.
If they fucking do Reigns and Brock, I'll put it this way. If they do Reigns and Brock, you might see the end of Smark Out Moment. I might actually quit and just kind of try to do something else, because I can't. I can't do it anymore. Shield triple threat. It seems like that's what's going to happen.
And I like the Shield triple threat because it's 3 full-time guys and 3 guys who have great chemistry with one another, and that story will always be good, And
it's been 2 or 3 years since they last did it, and there'll be a different dynamic because I assume Dean Ambrose will be the full-fledged heel in that situation.
Yeah, Ambrose the heel, Rollins the babyface, Reigns the
Reigns
babyface that they want to be the biggest babyface, but ends up being the biggest heel, so he ends up bouncing out to the tweener.
The most interesting thing would be who goes into that the champion and who walks out the champion.
Reigns goes in and Reigns leaves.
I think in that situation, Reigns goes in, Rollins comes out.
I think Knife goes in, Guts come out. I don't know why that Simpsons thing just popped in my mind. Do you think WWE screwed up with CJ Parker with Juice Robinson being the IWGP United States champion? On the contrary, I think the opposite. I think he wasn't doing much in WWE, and he sucked in WWE, and when they released him, it probably motivated him to get better.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't really think that with screwing up with CJ Parker, obviously CJ Parker is the very charismatic guy, and he definitely could have done a lot more in WWE, but they would never have had a character like Juice Robinson for him, because Juice Robinson is pretty crazy and outlandish and swears a lot, and it wouldn't work his character wouldn't work in WWE. So it's not a case of a missed opportunity where they could have had CJ Parker become Juice Robinson, because they never would have allowed Juice Robinson to be in WWE. So if the best they could do was CJ Parker, and it motivated, and I agree with you that it motivated him to actually get better in the ring, because he didn't just go to New Japan or wrestle on the independent circuit, or go to New Japan and get into the main roster immediately. He went to their training school and got better. So yeah, I don't think they missed an opportunity with what CJ Parker was then, which was pretty bad.
We got our last food question. I think it's the last one. Yeah. Do you like Italian ice, which some people refer to as water ice?
I don't.
Those listening to that.
On occasion, but I would only get something like that, if it was in New York from the vendor. I wouldn't get it store-bought.
Are you familiar with it, Callum?
Not particularly, no. I've never heard it.
Do you ever have a snow cone?
Occasionally, yeah.
It's kind of like that, but it's like a lot softer. It's sort of like if you took a snow cone but tried to make it a kind of the difference between ice cream that you would buy in the store versus soft serve. It's more like the soft serve version of a snow cone.
Okay. Well, if it's anything related to ice cream, I'd at least try it.
Well, it's just like how a snow cone is just like the flavoring and ice. It's just that.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds fine to me.
I'm not the biggest fan. Maybe once every like 3 years or so I have it. I had it this year. I went to a Phillies game and I was just kind of like, oh man, I'm really kind of like feeling like I need to get something refreshing, and walked by a thing and they had Swedish fish flavored water ice or Italian ice, whatever you want to call it. So I got that, and by the end of it, I was like, I really would have been better off just getting like vanilla custard or something. You give me a choice from like any kind of like an ice cream shop or something like that to get that or to get ice cream, I'm getting soft serve for sure. When will the Undisputed Era be called up? I'm thinking right after WrestleMania. Well, I agree with you, Frankie. Definitely post-Mania.
Yeah. Not that I necessarily... Now, those guys, I'm scared to death with what they're going to do with them. I hope that they're used properly, but God knows, you never know.
Yeah, I think WrestleMania's about right. I couldn't see them getting called up any earlier than that.
They've got to get called up as a unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd hope so, yeah.
Definitely they do. Hopefully they go to SmackDown.
Yeah,
but they're going to go to Raw.
Brian.
They'll go to Raw.
Please, can we have nice things?
They'll go to Raw, and they'll have
They'll be fed
a
to
push.
the Shield.
They'll have a push against the Shield or something like that. See, here's the thing: if we don't get the Shield at WrestleMania, then like the Shield triple threat, then I think that there's a good chance that we might get Ambrose and Rollins could beat Ziggler and McIntyre for the tag titles, and then drop the tag titles to the Authors of Pain at WrestleMania.
Yee.
And I think that one of the other alternatives is Ambrose and Rollins against each other, and Reigns does something else. And then at that point, I don't know what happens with like Ziggler, McIntyre, and the Authors of Pain, and whatever the case may be like that. But I think if the Shield is still a unit, Authors of Pain are tag team champions and doing something else unrelated to the Shield, and then we get Undisputed Era versus Shield at like, I guess it would be Backlash would be the next event after that. But then I think that they fizzle out a little bit. I think that they're going to be one of those things where they're either a pet project and they go straight in and then kind of they don't know what else to do with them, or they still kind of wait a little bit. But that kind of brings into the next question too. It's, do you see Adam Cole winning a world title on the main roster? And I think that he could be one of those guys that's small enough that Vince doesn't want to give him a title. And he gives him the Intercontinental or the United States title, and he's like in the Finn Balor type of position where...
Can we not compare Adam Cole to Finn Balor, please?
Well, think about it this way. Adam Cole's better. Like, I mean, he's better. But Finn Balor has a more... he looks tougher, I guess you could say. He's more muscular.
Physique.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think he might be a slight bit taller, too. So that works in his favor. And he won the Universal Championship, but he won it and then lost it, and he hasn't come anywhere close to it ever since then. I don't know if that's a matter of Vince trying to be like, let's give this guy a big push and then we can figure it out, or if he lost his faith in him in the meantime, or if he never was into them to begin with. But I don't think Adam Cole is going to be some Universal Champion. You put Adam Cole next to Roman Reigns, he looks weak. You know?
In a dream world, I would call them up to SmackDown and have them mess with Daniel Bryan, maybe after a world title win at WrestleMania for Bryan, which I think they should do. And I would have them stay on that SmackDown brand within their, workhorse group of guys. And I wouldn't put them anywhere near Raw because I don't want to see them get fed.
Totally agree. If they go to SmackDown, Adam Cole can win the WWE title. If they go to Raw, he's fucked.
Yeah, I'd agree with that assessment.
Not a shame.
Yeah, terrible.
Let's move to, would you rather have no one show up to your wedding or nobody shows up to your funeral?
When he says no one shows up to the wedding, does that mean the bride as well?
Yeah, right. I assume the bride's there and nobody else.
Then
And if that's the case, definitely wedding.
yeah, definitely wedding.
And I'm not gonna know if nobody shows up to the funeral. So,
What if you're a ghost?
yeah. Well, in that case, yeah, still rather have them not come to the funeral.
Then if you're a ghost and you're like, oh my god, I'm so sad, I wish I could kill myself.
Oh, well, that's already been done for me.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as, if nobody goes to your funeral, either everybody's dead already, which is horrible, or you've already alienated yourself from everybody and nobody loves you anymore. At least with your wedding, if it's just you and like your bride or your groom or whatever the case may be, maybe you just go to the courthouse and that's why nobody's at your wedding, you know?
Good
Yeah,
point.
people actually do that. Like to
Yeah.
actually, some people actually just want to avoid being around people or family or whatever at that point in time. Just want it to be between the two of them. So yeah,
Nobody went to Stephanie and Triple H's wedding.
Not even Stephanie, as far as she knows.
Yeah, she wasn't conscious. What do we live at? This one was a tough one for me. Would you rather know when you're going to die or how you're going to die?
how? Quite easy for
When?
me.
Now, see, I went with how, and then I ended up changing my mind because in my first idea was, if I know how I'm going to die, I can avoid that as much as I can. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, wait a minute. If I know how I'm going to die, and it's something like in my sleep is all the answer I get, I'm not going to want to ever go to sleep because I don't know when I'm going to die in my sleep.
Well, luckily
Or
for
if it's
you, you
like-
don't go to sleep. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's already an issue. But like, how am I going to die? Car accident. Well, the only way to avoid that is to never drive again, or be in the car with anybody ever again, or be on the road where somebody can hit me. And then I'd be paranoid. Is this the day that I'm going to die in my car accident when I'm driving? You know what I mean? When you know when you're going to die, the downside to it is you are going to be so petrified when it comes to that day because you know you're dying that day. But the good side is you can plan stuff around that. If I know that I'm dying, August 12th, 2052, well, leading up to that year, that I can start getting my affairs in order. I can make sure I tell everybody what I need to tell them ahead of time, and it's not like I'm caught off guard and it's like, oh, there's so many things I wish I would have been able to say. We could throw a big party that day and be like, this is the last day I'm going to be around, like that kind of thing. It would suck for that day. But if I knew well enough in advance, I think I could come to terms with it more.
that's exactly why
And-
I'm going with when.
Leading up to it too, if I know I'm going to die in 2050 or whatever it is, well, I'm going to be such a fucking happy motherfucker leading up to that because I'll bungee jump. I know I'm not going to die, like like that kind of thing. Like now, of course, that might be the type of thing where it's like, yeah, you're not going to die, but you're going to break all your bones and be a vegetable for the rest of your life, that kind of a thing. But it's like, I think you got to go when.
I think you've convinced me. I mean, my original logic of going for how instead, because it's basically a case of like, oh god, that will spoil the surprise. That's like a very morbid way of looking at it. It's like, I don't really want to know. I didn't really initially want to know when because, like, you got in sense of it, like, I don't think knowing how I was going to die would change my attitude to doing that thing. And maybe that's just like an incredibly morbid way of looking at it, but I wouldn't, if I said like, oh, you're going to die in a car crash, I wouldn't stop like driving or being driven places because it's just a way of life. It's just knowing that that's going to happen eventually. I don't think it would make me paranoid. It would just make me like, almost like, oh, I wonder if that's going to happen today or something. Like,
I think it kind of depends on what the scenario is too, because if it says like, oh wait, how am I going to die? Well, you're going to die on a plane crash going to Costa Rica. Then I'll be like, well, fuck flying to Costa Rica. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'll just never fly there ever, and I'm gonna live to be 8,000 years old because at this point this magical spell is happening, and I'm nope. If I have to go to Costa Rica, I am taking a boat. You know, like whatever the case may be. But if it's something very simple like I've got asthma, and if somebody says like you're going to stop breathing, I'll be like, just gotta like make sure I'm
Yeah.
breathing all the time. Like,
But you know, kind of like you've kind of won me over to the when thing. It's something that's like more straightforward to plan and come to terms with if you do know when it's gonna happen.
and if you're interested in this question, Frankie, watch the movie Meet Joe Black. Some people hate the movie. I fucking love it. Watch the movie. Let's move on to the final couple questions we've got here. What do you think of this AOP and Drake Maverick shtick? It's fucking stupid.
Weird. Isn't it weird? Like, it's just, I don't understand, and this has to be a case of, wait a minute, we're paying these fucking cruiserweight guys way too much money for one night a week. It has to be that.
Oh yeah,
because,
it definitely is that.
because
but
otherwise, it's like you had fucking Paul Ellering, and you didn't have them continue on with Paul Ellering. And yeah, you can make the argument he didn't want to travel, but it's not like he had to do every house show. And I think he was such a great fit for them. Drake Maverick just makes it seem weird. Like, he's the babyface, almost over the top cheerleader for the cruiserweights. And then he comes on Raw and he's like, and I'm going to lead these two pit bulls and I'm going to be ruthless. And all. It's just strange.
This strikes me 100% Vince McMahon. It is, he watched Drake Maverick on 205 Live one week and he was like, God damn, I really like this guy. He's got like some personality to him. We should put him as a manager and something. So let's bring him on the Monday Night Raw. At the same time, thinking Authors of Pain need some kind of a person to talk for them. At the same time, they shortened Authors of Pain to AOP. Stupid. But look at how many times in the past Vince has been like, he's not Alexander Rusev anymore. He's just Rusev. He's just Elias. He's just Big E. You know, they do this kind of thing. So I wonder if that's Vince going, Authors of Pain. I don't want them to think like they're fucking writers. They should just be AOP, which is like, that doesn't stand for anything anymore if that's the case. And I think that it's just, he took all these ideas. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed one fucking morning and he was like, they're going to be AOP instead of Authors of Pain. They need a manager. I like Drake Maverick. Let's throw him in there. He's got a great smile on him. Let's have him come out and stand between the two of them and, you know, smile. Because he doesn't even fucking talk all that much. He just smiles. And then he probably thought like, you know, look at that. We got the tiny fucking guy between the two big ones. Isn't this fucking great? Like that kind of thing. And it's like, it's stupid. And then the other question is, how do you think about the Bobby Lashley and Leo Rush thing? It's just as stupid. Because probably in the same episode that he saw the Drake Maverick thing, he probably saw Leo Rush and he was like, oh, this kid has something to him. Let's make him a manager and pair him up with Bobby Lashley because Bobby Lashley sucks on the mic. And then you've got Leo Rush on Monday Night Raw acting like an asshole, being like almost pushing Elias into a babyface role, but he's supposed to be a babyface with Bobby Lashley. Yet on 205 Live, which is on Tuesday nights, which is not on Tuesday nights anymore because it's on Wednesdays, which means it's no longer 205 Live, it's now 205 Taped, he's a fucking major heel. None of it makes any sense. And
it's just that Vince was thinking, all right, we got to move 205 Live to Wednesdays. Let me actually watch an episode of this. I haven't seen any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And he just watched one episode and it's like, all right, I like these two people. Everybody else can fuck off.
Yeah, I 100% think that that's the case. He watched it to see what they could do with the Mixed Match Challenge and the Mae Young Classic. And then he said, I like these two guys. Let's put them on Monday Night Raw. Let's make them managers. Totally. It has to be what it is. If it's anything other than that, I'm going to be completely and utterly shocked. And it's stupid.
I'd say a great likelihood is that he hasn't watched 205 Live. He's just been told that these guys are good.
Maybe that's the case too.
Which would make a bit more sense based on like their actual positioning as different heels and faces, because I don't think Vince McMahon would be like bizarre enough to suggest that heel should go with a babyface or babyface should go with heels. In terms of like these pairings, like AOP and Drake Maverick is a bit odd, just mainly due to the alignment of Drake Maverick on 205 Live. I think if this was Drew Gulak, it would be perfect. Because Drew's, especially with the two giant guys, and Drew's like the no-fly zone guy. If you go back to that side of things, then he could be so like, oh, these guys go squash all of these high flyers or anything along those lines because these are the giants that will do it. And I like the Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley pairing because Lio Rush he's like categorically not very likable to a lot of people, but I think a lot of people also gravitate to that cockiness that he exudes, like. And like this guy who's like a supposed millionaire that's going to push people to the top. I think Bobby Lashley could be the start of a faction almost with Lio Rush at the center of it.
If they were heels, though, that's the thing. If Lashley was a heel, this would be great.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree that it'd probably be better placed as a heel, but I think there was something about just Lio Rush's performances, both in the last couple of weeks, that made me suggest that it could work as a babyface thing. Of him just being like a really not so much like an anti-baby face that does get over, but somebody who's just very brash and arrogant that the crowd start warming to because I don't know, he's got a funny attitude in the way that he does it, like an Enzo Amore, because Enzo Amore was a dick by all stretch of the imaginations, but when he was like a baby face in NXT, he was still the same character, but he was just funny about it and like attacking the like heel people. Yeah, I'm sure you could do the same thing with Lio Rush.
I really did enjoy the segment on Monday where Lio Rush is just kind of making fools out of Owens and Elias. And don't get me wrong, I like Owens and I like Elias, but if you're going to do it, at least have it be entertaining. And I thought this was entertaining because he's a smaller, lighter guy, and he's just jumping around all over the place, getting out of their way.
I like the Elias saying like, all right, kid, and like all that other kind of stuff like that, but it just struck me as like a tone deaf type of situation where they didn't realize which ones were heels, which ones were baby faces, and all that stuff. So I hope they figure it out. I hope that this is something that they actually have a plan, and it's not just like that Vince thinks nobody watches 205 Live, so it doesn't matter. Let's just do what we want to do with them on Raw,
I do like the return to managers, though. Like, as a concept, I think it's great.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, managers are very useful when they're, good and stuff. Drew Gulak would be a great manager for somebody if he wasn't already just like a great superstar.
Brian Kendrick would be a great mouthpiece.
There's a lot of people that could do that kind of stuff. And if they continue and they figure out some way, like you turn Bobby Lashley heel, I still remain Bobby Lashley should have turned heel and not Braun Strowman.
I agree.
But hey, we'll see. WWE also decided that it was good to pair up Chad Gable and Bobby Roode.
Terrible.
Stupid.
Terrible.
Two people that clearly they have nothing for, and they said, why don't you just be a tag team?
But, like, how can you have nothing for Bobby Roode?
Mm-hmm. Well, they moved him over to Monday Night Raw, and then they realized that they didn't want to push him, so now he's just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, that
should have been a heel on SmackDown.
That's a dumb Vince call if you believe, what you read, that, well, we got to turn him face because they like the theme song, and they can't sing along with the theme song if he's a heel, and I just think that's fucking idiotic, because then you literally just made it, all right, his whole thing is the entrance, and once that's done, you got nothing.
Well, I think that's kind of the case with Bobby Roode now as well.
Now?
Oh yeah, I know now, but like, it's not like any of his matches in NXT were amazing. They were good, but I think.
Go ahead.
I'll just say I think Bobby Roode's done, essentially. Both, and I think if he was to leave, he'd be better placed to be in a management or authority-based capacity in different promotions as opposed to in the ring.
I think it's a sad case to wasting a guy. Here's a guy who almost seems like one of the few grabs you could have gotten that can fit a more, John Cena-esque WWE style, and you're just doing next to nothing with him.
Well, it's odd because I see this. I'm not a huge fan of tag team, but I see this as a greater waste of Chad Gable than Bobby Roode, because Chad Gable's great.
Chad Gable to me should be
On 205 Live.
No,
he should either be on 205 Live and doing something there, or what I'd rather see. I mean, I'd rather see him still with Jason Jordan, but Jason Jordan's injured, so okay. But I think Chad Gable should be a legitimate mid-card United States title contender on SmackDown. Babyface. Especially because SmackDown needs them. They don't have any babyfaces anymore. That brand is AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan right now. That's it.
Yep.
So that sucks. And they need another babyface. They should have put Chad Gable over there and never switched him over.
Well, there's Rusev as well.
Oh yeah, there's Rusev. But I mean, they were toying around with the babyface thing for a long time, and they only just recently really made that kind of official.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, say Rusev goes down with an injury, you're fucked for the mid-card thing there, you know?
Yeah.
Chad Gable should be a babyface. Serious mid-carder over there. Because R-Truth isn't going to be that case. Clearly, they don't value title and draw that much. Sin Cara is injured, and it doesn't matter anyway either. And Bobby Roode should be a heel, and he should be an actual contender for things. Whether it's on Raw or on SmackDown. But they just, for some reason, they botched it. And this tag team is terrible. It's not going to work.
And the reason I said 205 Live for Gable is because I think they would get cold feet trying to put him as a solo star. I think that's exactly why they've just said they tried to pair him up with No Way Jose, and now they're pairing him up with Bobby Roode, because I think they're getting cold feet because of his size. But at least on 205 Live, he could have some, hidden gems of matches and be useful as an in-ring talent.
But I just go along the lines of, if he's on 205 Live, he might as well not be there.
Isn't that a shame?
And that's the case with, I don't know, that's like, there's a lot of really good talent on 205 Live, but it's a case of like, okay, so you won the main roster and you've been moved to 205 Live, well, you might as well just hand in your release, because you're probably making more money. So if you want to keep just making as much money as you can, and then when your contract's up, leave, then by all means do it. I'm not going to try and take food off other people's tables or anything along the lines by suggesting, oh, well, you're on 205 Live, you clearly don't matter, why don't you just go back to the independent scene? Because they're probably making more money than they would in the independent scene and doing a lot less work for it. So anyone in that situation, by all means do it. It's the best way to live. But like, if he actually wants to just, if he's more concerned with like just wrestling and making a name for himself and being a star that he kind of merits being, just based on his work and his charisma and his just overall ability, then if he finds himself being placed on 205 Live or just buried in the lower card of Raw or SmackDown, just go. Other companies will value him more than WWE do.
I don't want to be that guy, but if he was going to do that, he'd be a fantastic fit for New Japan.
New Japan, Ring of Honor, there's Impact, basically any other promotion would place him a lot higher on the totem pole than WWE do.
Real quick though, it's such a damn shame that we have to say things like, well, if you're on 205 Live, then you might as well not even be there, because Buddy Murphy's having great matches, but it does kind of feel like he's not even there sometimes, because if you're not watching 205 Live, then who the hell is Buddy Murphy?
Yeah. Our last question here is, who is going to take the title off Shinsuke Nakamura? Well, we just mentioned SmackDown doesn't have a whole lot of baby faces, so at this point, literally, if you're talking baby faces on SmackDown, it has to be Rusev, AJ Styles, or Daniel Bryan. And I can't see necessarily any of them happening except for maybe Rusev. But we already had Rusev and Andrade Cien Almas in a feud. Rusev is doing something with Nakamura now, but it seems like it's kind of pivoting a little bit over to Aiden English. I don't think WWE even knows.
If, as I'm thinking about it now, my mindset is some type of multi-man match that allows Almas to walk out with the title. I don't know who the babyface would be, because as we keep repeating, there's not a lot of babyfaces on SmackDown. But they have this weird obsession for like the last year or so to put really, WWE Championship contenders in that U.S. title picture. So who's to say that they don't just say on SmackDown 1000, oh, hey, you're going to lose it to Cena. Or, oh, hey, Ray's coming back. Ray's going to beat you. You know?
Ray is coming back. Huh. Maybe it is Ray.
That's an option if they don't want to go with like a part-timer. I think it's going to be Rusev. I think Rusev will dispatch of Aiden English and then go into a more long-term feud with Nakamura over the title.
It's going to sound mean, but I'm not sure. Like, the characters as they are now, I'm not sure I want to see a long-term feud with Rusev and Nakamura, you know?
I mean, you're incorrect in that assessment because they're both two of the better characters on SmackDown. So I don't understand the logic in that one. But it's a case of like Nakamura hasn't had an opportunity to show how good his character can be in a long-term feud because he's not been given a long-term feud since he's won the title. And even though this Rusev thing with Aiden English is fucking stupid, and they should never have split them up because they were so much better as a pairing, and they didn't get a chance to actually fulfill even half of their potential together, I think it could at least launch Rusev back into like the upper mid-card position that he should be in, and at the expense of Aiden English almost certainly just dropping into the lower card and then probably rarely ever appearing on SmackDown going forward.
See, I'm cool with the Aiden English split.
Yeah, you didn't like that though.
Yeah.
And I think you're in the minority in that regard.
Oh yeah, I'm probably in the minority, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what?
Better together.
I got sick of the Aiden English thing in general. If Aiden English was released from WWE, I wouldn't be all that upset right now.
Well, yeah, I'm basically preparing myself for not sort of that situation, but it's more along the lines of I can't see his career being elevated from this feud that's going to happen, which is probably only going to take place on SmackDown because there's no way they're going to put this on any pay-per-view. And yeah, and then it will just be a case of whether Rusev goes up or down. But I think Rusev is probably out of people that are currently on SmackDown the most likely one, unless they decide to just really go whole hog on this R-Truth thing. R-Truth is the only other person I see as potential because I don't think they'll drop to AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan. And
part of me still, go ahead.
I don't think if Cena comes back, he won't be on SmackDown.
Part of me still thinks, and this might just be wishful thinking, but there's a little bit of me that's going, that Baron Corbin Finn Balor feud never really ended. And if they want Baron Corbin to really seem like he's power hungry and stuff, he should fire Finn Balor and send him over to SmackDown. And SmackDown could use Finn Balor. And Finn Balor's not doing anything on Raw. So part of me kind of thinks, you know what? That would be the smartest move for them to make. Do that, and then Finn Balor can take the title off of Nakamura.
I'd say that would be a useful thing to do. But it's just a case of, even though I agree that the feud that never seemed to really end, and it was terrible anyway, but it's a sense of they've kind of just dropped it. If there was still any sort of inclination, because like, was Finn Balor even on Raw this week?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like, I don't think they really care about progressing it forward anymore.
Probably not. We're talking about a company that has Gable and Rude together, and all the other kind of things that they're doing, so who fucking knows? They're just sitting there going, we got this Brock thing coming up, and we got Roman and Strowman. That's all we need. That's all we care about.
Oh no, they've got The Undertaker as well, and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot where it's like, it almost seems like these new super one-off shows are way more important to them than anything they're doing on a weekly basis, and it leaves 80% of the people that are hired by them in the dust.
Well, yeah, because they make a shit ton of money for these one-off shows, and they've already agreed to billion-dollar deals for the TV in the current form. So why would they care anymore about it? It's all about the money at the end of the day, as Vince McMahon has said on many occasions.
I guess you can't fault them for that, but it's like,
you certainly can't fault them for that.
I don't want to be saying, I'm not interested in Nakamura not because I don't think, his heel work has been great. It's just that I've seen they kept him off TV for practically a month while he was the champion. Why should I believe that they're going to do anything meaningful with him?
Yeah.
Ah,
Well,
right.
anyway, those are the mailbag questions.
Yeah, what a shitty ending for the mailbag questions.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing. I don't know. What's a happy question we could end off on?
Give us another food one.
Let's see. Try to think of something off the top of my head. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here.
Yeah, we've just been sapped into like negativity and sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about Shinsuke Nakamura.
I don't know. Yeah, so okay then, like, what's the best kind of sushi?
I think it's called the Connie roll. It's the crab one.
California.
Just any dead fish is fine. Guess.
Dead fish is great.
Live fish might be better. Just take a bite out of one. Well, thank you everybody for sending your mailbag questions in. I mentioned it before. If you did not get something sent in ahead of time, or if I lost track of it or something like that, drop them in the comments below, or wait until the next time that we're going to be doing this for October, which is going to be October 17th or so. And you can send them in now, and I will backlog them. I will make sure of that. And if you want to be aware of the next thing that we have going on, I'm not too sure exactly what the main event for next week is going to be. There's a chance that it could just be Superstar Scores Matt Hardy, but there's also a chance that we could just do something else. We haven't done a play the game in a while, so we might do play the game. We could always do something brand new, because we got a couple ideas that are brand new. We could do a wrestling with the past. We could do... we haven't done heel or face in a long time. We haven't done belt or bury. Top rope list hasn't come back yet for a long time. So there's lots of different options. And if you have any suggestions, drop those in the comments below as well. Hit that like button. Share this with any of your friends that you think might be interested in checking out the show. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Smark Out Moment. Follow the YouTube channel by hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications. Check out fanboysanonymous.com for everything that's happening there, and do the same thing over there. If you want to show your support on the monetary side of things, you can hit up the Patreon for Fanboys or for Smark Out Moment. There's also the TeePublic and the Redbubble shops if you want to buy some merchandise. And I think that's it for my plugs. So, Robert?
WrestleZone.com for your daily wrestling news. Got stories up there about Rey Mysterio re-signing, Pentagon and Phoenix not signing with WWE, and all that good stuff. So make sure to check that out. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice, and stay tuned for this week's Triple Threat, which will be a Hell in a Cell. That was the pay-per-view, right?
Yep.
Hell in a Cell review. And yeah, timekillerapparel.com. If you want to support me directly, you can buy a t-shirt there, and it would mean a lot to me. Callum?
Follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. It's in the description if you don't know how to spell it correctly. And you can just stay tuned for the Battle of the Brands article that I'm working on for this week and for the short-term future. And yeah, just check out all the other weekly stuff on Smark Out Moment. That's it for me.
All right, everybody, that's it for all of us. Thank you again for listening to the mailbag and showing all of your support, whatever ways that you are. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. We will see you next time. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.